All right. Good Sunday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Jesse Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather for your Sunday evening going into your future. We have some stuff that we are going to go on and talk about tonight, but before we get into that, what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, obviously, we will talk about tonight's weather and how that rain will taper off with the frontal passage and the drier air arrival as we go into tomorrow. Then we'll talk about, obviously tomorrow and Tuesday with the quick dry out and a mild rebound. We'll go into the short-term future being Wednesday, Thursday-ish. Strong warming trend, potential near record highs in the long term, the weekend onward, where the shower chances will creep back in. So that's the main thing that we're going to talk about tonight. We also will talk about the week forecast. So pretty much everything that I just said, we're going to talk about in more of the average time frame. And so what do I mean by average? We're going to look at our average temperatures, seeing what they're looking like, average precipitation for the week, see what that's looking like as well, and we'll put all of it together and show it. So if you have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. Right now we have around a good 9 people in here so far, and 8 likes. So it seems like for the most part that almost everybody has hit the like button. But we can go on and get a bit more, just in case if YouTube is glitching out. Go on and hit it if you have not already. So, with that out of the way, also make sure you go and hit the subscribe button. We're at 706, trying to get to 800. Yes, 706, trying to get to 800. Right now we are around a good 94 away. And also share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, people that you don't even talk to like that, because it helps the channel out and it helps us grow. And so let's go on now and talk about what's currently going on, because current conditions are always first, and right now, it is definitely not as rainy as it was earlier. We have some shower activity going on from the upstate, like Rock Hill, Gaffney, maybe into the Midlands a little bit, over there near Saluda, Edgefield, Newbury, and then also down there over inside of the western low country from Estill to Ridgeland as well. And this, for the most part, is tapering out. Like I said, this will go away as we get into the overnight hours, and we will be officially dry as we get into tomorrow morning. But what about the entire U.S.? Well, obviously, we will have some rainfall going on throughout not only South Carolina, but Georgia still getting some rainfall. Florida still getting some rainfall with some gusty winds moving throughout some of those areas. We had even a tornado watch down there in Florida a bit earlier. We also have some rainfall off the coast of South Carolina, North Carolina getting some rainfall, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware getting some rainfall, even into Pennsylvania. They're getting some snowfall and some rainfall, like a mix. Same thing with New Jersey. And then also over there inside of New York City, also kind of a mix of some rain and snow right now. Now, what's going on throughout, everywhere else besides the huge amount of mess going on over there on the East Coast? Well, rainfall going on in Minnesota, as well as some rainfall potentially going on in Arizona. Snowfall going on in Montana, and even some rainfall mixed with some snow going on in California. Everybody else, though, for the most part, looks dry. Look at the central U.S. Nice and dry. Going into the Northeast, dry. Midwest, dry. So this is definitely the drier time period for these other areas while we are still getting our last bit of the system. Now, in terms of cloud cover right now is still there. It is still mostly cloudy out there. We are not clearing up yet. We will clear up later, not really anytime soon. What do I mean by that? Well, if we go on and look at the future cloud cover, the blue is the cloud cover, the white is the clear skies. I know that might be a bit confusing. But if you go on and push this forward, you can see, you start to see maybe some clearing going on inside the upstate. You will see some fog potentially as you go later into like tonight going into tomorrow. And, you see as you go all the way into the tomorrow morning, still cloud cover going on throughout the low country, still throughout the PD areas, but the Midlands and the upstate definitely are clearing up a lot more. And then by the time we get even to around 11 o'clock in the morning, 12 p.m., 1 p.m., we're still seeing cloud cover over here inside of the coastal regions and the low country and in the Grand Strand areas by 1 p.m. tomorrow. It's not really until we get into, like 4 or 5 p.m.-ish or so that we might start to see that clearing really start to take effect and kind of move its way off the coastal areas, but there will still be some cloud cover definitely still going on near the coastal areas, even by 5 to 6 p.m., maybe even to 7 p.m. That goes all the way to 11 p.m., 12 a.m. as well. We still have cloud cover going on. We continue this even further all the way to 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday now. Here we are. And Tuesday, everything just clouds right back up. Clouds right back up on Tuesday, but this time it will be a bit more of a flip. We'll have cloud cover instead in the upstate and the low country and the coastal areas will be trying to clear up for a little bit as you go into like the Tuesday late morning time frame, but it won't really last that long before more will come along. So if you're in the upstate and the Midlands, your clearing period is going to happen pretty shortly. If you're in the low country or if you're inside of the Grand Strand areas or just the coastal areas in general, you still have a little bit of some cloud cover to look out for. You're not going to be completely done as we get through tonight going into tomorrow. Now, what's going on in terms of our current temperatures? Well, right now you have around a good 60 in Somerville, as well as a good 60 in Charleston, 59 in Beaufort, as well as 58 in Hilton Head Island, 63 in Georgetown and Murray's Inlet, as well as Conway, 59 in Myrtle Beach, and 61 in Florence, 60 Sumter, and 61 in Orangeburg, 58 inside Columbia, as well as 59 in Aiken, 49 in Newburgh, as well as 47 in Lawrence, 47 Greenville, and 48 in Clemson and Anderson, 47 in Spartanburg, as well as 47 in York and Gaffney, 48 Rock Hill. Now, for your air quality for the most part, we will be inside the good category. You can see up there in the top right, good, 0 to 50, everybody for the most part, except for a little tiny area up there inside of the very far upstate, but that's not really a populated area, so, and it's still only a moderate, so it's not really anything to really take a look at. Low temperatures for tonight, you have around a good 41 in Greenville, 40 in Spartanburg, as well as a good 41 in Rock Hill, 44 in Cheraw, as well as a good 45 in Dillon, 46 in Florence, and 46 in Sumter, 47 in Orangeburg, and even around a good 48 in Walterboro, 50 Charleston, and 52 in Hilton Island, 46 Monwell, and 48 in Georgetown, 48 in Myrtle Beach, and 45 inside of Aiken. So temperatures tonight will be still on the cooler side in the upstate, more on the mild side in the low country, Midlands, and Grand Strand-ish areas. High temperatures for tomorrow. You have high temperatures around 64 in Greenville, 64, Spartanburg, 61 inside of Rock Hill, even around a good 61 in Winsboro, 64 inside of Columbia, and even Orangeburg, Barnwell, Aiken, all 64, 63 in Walterboro, and 61 in Moncks Corner and Charleston, 60, Georgetown, and 59 in Myrtle Beach, 59 also inside of Dillon. Now for your winds, well, not for winds, but this was from earlier today if you wanted to see it, but we don't talk about winds actually during the evening time. I'm thinking it's the morning time. Continuing my way down all the way to total precipitation throughout just the next 24 hours just in general. 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch goes on for Greenville, Spartanburg going on inside of Lawrence, Greenwood, Orangeburg, Walterboro, all these areas. 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch. 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch goes on for Florence, goes on for Rock Hill, Cheraw, Georgetown. Kingstree is included in there as well. Maybe even a quarter of an inch to a half an inch for Myrtle Beach and Camden. And somebody may even see a half an inch to an inch as we go throughout the next 24 hours. Now, I think for the most part that since this was last updated at 7 p.m., a lot of that rainfall went into account for 7 p.m. to now. So I think that a lot of this precipitation possibly has already kind of passed a little bit, especially since I was 2 hours in the past since they actually updated it. So I think that that's just what it looks like right now, and it's probably going to be less than what you see here on this map, more of the lower end. Some areas on this map probably won't even see another drop of rainfall, so if you're near that 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch mark, you may not even see another drop. Now, in terms of the crazy score for the most part, that is the wrong one. The one for tonight's at 22. Apologies for that. In the mild category, why isn't inside the mild category? Well, number one, because it is mostly cloudy, kind of clearing up as we go into like tomorrow, but again, that's tomorrow. But it's going to be mostly cloudy for the most part. Wind gusts, 15 to 20 miles per hour, possibly a bit more. Speaking of, I want to check and see what my highest wind gust for today was, because I definitely got some high gusts today. My older one only says 12. I think it probably was higher than that. My new one says only around 16. So I think it possibly was a little bit higher than that, but maybe not. There also will be some patchy fog. I talked about that a bit earlier. Inside the upstate, we saw some patchy fog up there. And then, just some rainfall still going on. But other than that, that's about all that I have to say. No freezing, no ice risk or anything like that. Obviously, not even going to be close to below freezing at all. Now, if we go into the SPC outlook today, still watching. The ingredients are still there. If things happen to still go along and kind of just gain some more energy, it's possible, but for right now, it looks like no more thunderstorms are throughout the state. So even though there is a little light green risk for any sort of shower activity that's left over, I think for the most part that we're done with thunderstorms. And same thing for tomorrow and for Tuesday, no thunderstorms are expected. Nothing going on in terms of fire weather either. And then in terms of our excessive rainfall outlook, obviously since we're done with the majority of the rainfall, the isolated flash flood risk for the entire state today is actually now gone. So no longer have to worry about that. So let's go on now and talk about the short-term future. Well, make sure that you go on and look at the time at the bottom part of your screen. That is very important to go on and look at, because if you don't see that, you possibly could miss a couple of key time points. But will it be really useful tonight? Probably not, because once we get to 12 o'clock in the morning, maybe going to 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning, that rainfall is gone. That rainfall is gone. And once you get to around 3 o'clock, 4, 5, we just dry off a lot. And as we get into Monday evening, this is Monday evening, still nice and dry. Going into Monday night, going into Tuesday, still nice and dry. High pressure actually takes over right over the state. And that means nice and dry and hopefully close to sunny conditions. But we saw that cloud cover really wasn't showing that much in terms of giving way. Go all the way into Tuesday, all the way to 7 o'clock p.m. And, just like I said, nice conditions. Not looking at anything, really. Now, if we go on and look at the long-term future, because there's nothing else really to... Well, yes, we can. We can talk about the dew points real quick. I want to see this cold front real quick. We can push it forward right here. There goes the cold front, pushed its way through tonight. And, you don't really see it go down too far. This is not temperatures, by the way. Dew points. But you can see as it pushes its way down, it goes through all the way through tonight, going to like tomorrow morning, and then it's gone by that point, and we get drier conditions as we go into Monday and Tuesday. But now for the long-term future, we're going to start off here on Tuesday, and we already looked at Monday, so the first day of the week, Monday, second day of the week, Monday, really looking like it's going to be a nice day. What about Tuesday? We looked through most of Tuesday. Tuesday seems to be good as well. Going into Wednesday, it seems like Wednesday is going to be pretty nice. We may have some rainfall to our north and west up there near Tennessee and North Carolina. But, for the most part, nice and dry for us going into Wednesday. Thursday, still looking pretty dry. Friday, still. But until you get into around like that afternoon hours, potentially on Friday, we could potentially see some rainfall there. And then as you go into Saturday, as well, Saturday could potentially show another risk for another little system to move its way through. Now, will it have any severe weather with it? Well, right now, I'm just gonna immediately just go and look at the Cape first, because I think that pretty much will give me my answer. You can see some there. So, I mean, that's there. You look at the dew points. Dew points are definitely there. And then in terms of height and wind, I mean, I guess that is definitely there as well. So, I mean, I do think for sure that there could potentially be another severe weather risk as we go into next weekend. It's potentially possible. But remember what we saw this week when we thought there was going to be potentially some severe weather, or I guess I should say kind of like earlier into last week, and then as it went to midweek going to like the later parts, we were like, well, it's not really there too much anymore. And then like at the last day before the event, last day or two, I should say, before the event ramped up, we saw Cape values up hitting like 500 or so. So it's possible. Like I said, that's why you always gotta let things develop in weather. You gotta let things go on, take their course. Because if you assume too early, obviously, might be missing some stuff. But we want to continue our way through. Pretty much Saturday seemed like to be like the really only active day for right now. But like I said, Friday could bring some rainfall. I mean, Thursday, I saw like some areas or some forecast websites showing like a 20% chance of precipitation on Thursday. I mean, this model isn't really showing it too much, but Friday definitely could be a day. Same thing with Saturday. Now, as we go in and push that forward, cold front pushes through. We get cooler air as we go into next weekend. And then, it's dry going into Sunday. Then we continue into next week. And yes, that is a little bit of snow that you see right there. A little bit of snow up there inside the PD and the Grand Strand areas around not tomorrow Monday, but next week Monday. So, we'll see what happens through this. But that's around like more than a week out. So that will definitely change. And we'll see what happens tomorrow evening, see if it's still there or not. Continuing through all the way through Tuesday, Wednesday, going into Thursday, not of next week, but the week after, still looks pretty dry for the most part. Maybe some active activity in that week somewhere. And so that's what we're looking at there for the long-term future. Speaking of, I do want to go on real quick and show the temperatures. So here's the temperature anomalies right here. We start off here at the 50. We're actually going to start here on Monday. And you see we're just about average. I mean, we go all the way through Monday, going into Tuesday, just an average. We're not seeing anything too above average, not too below average, nothing like that. We go into Tuesday. We start to get a little bit of a warm up. You look over there to the west, you see 20 degrees above average up there inside of Arkansas, over there inside of Tennessee. But South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, still staying for the most part near average. It's not really until we get into Wednesday, going into Thursday, to where we start to see widespread 10 degrees above average for a good amount of the state. And so that's when we really will start to see that warm up. And then let's go into Thursday. Thursday, we automatically just see temperatures up into like the almost 20 degrees but above average. Yes, 20 degrees above average potentially as you get into Thursday of this week. So, stuff to definitely take a look at there. Maybe even trying to get to 25 degrees above average potentially in some spots as you go into Friday. So we're going to be definitely looking at this, and I know a lot of people are going to like this. So the ending part of this week definitely will be nice, but definitely enjoy it while it lasts because, like I said, Saturday, we'll see around 20, 25 degrees above average, but then that cold front will move through going into like Sunday, not Sunday, but like Saturday night going into like Sunday, and we will start to see those below normal temperatures take over again. And right here, we're 15 to 20 degrees below average going into next week after next weekend. So that's why I said make sure you enjoy this warm weather this week because we will get back to below average temperatures again. And if you go even forward with it, even more forward with it, you can just see the week, next week just starts off very chilly. But then we'll warm up kind of like how we did at kind of like as we get into like the end of this week and kind of warm up at the end of the week again. So we'll see what happens. we will see what happens here, just in general. So let's go on real quick and look at our averages for the week since we have broken down pretty much everything. In terms of our, oops, there we go right there. Okay, in terms of our temperatures and our averages for them, for the most part, looks like that we are going to be above average. Again, nobody should really be shocked by that. Nobody should really be shocked because, we just saw, there's going to be some days to where it's 15 to 20 degrees above average. So that's not really shocking at all. But, what about precipitation? What is this going to do for the drought? Well, unfortunately, not going to help out our drought much because, as you can see, we are below average. Yes, we are below average right now in terms of precipitation. So above average temperatures, below average rainfall, not a good sign. Not a good sign right there. So, we'll continue to watch it. We'll continue to, monitor the total rain impacts as we go throughout the next week. But doesn't look that good. And, just in case you need a reminder for what our drought looks like, this is actually what it looks like right now. We actually have a extreme drought going on right now inside of the very, kind of not the very far upstate, but upstate areas. Union County, southern Spartanburg, Lawrence, southern Greenville, Anderson, Abbeville, southern Cherokee counties as well. And then if you're in the tan, you're in the severe drought, the Tri-County area, Dorchester, Berkeley, Charleston County, Georgetown, Hampton going on into Beaufort and Jasper, Bamberg, Orangeburg, Chesterfield, Marlboro, as well as Darlington. All these areas in the D2 area, and then D1, moderate drought over here for Horry County going on into Florence, Sumter, Columbia areas, Aiken as well. So we all are inside of a drought, even though you may say, oh, well, for right now, it looks like that everything, for me is fine. You are most likely, you are inside of a drought. That's not really a discussion. You are inside of a drought. And we definitely, everybody needs the rainfall. Everybody needs the rainfall. 100%. Everybody needs it. No matter, if it may look fine, with hot temperatures coming in, and then also with barely any precipitation, not as much as we've seen for this time of year, you definitely need that precipitation. Even if it may not look like it, you definitely will be wanting it later if you don't get it now. But like I said, we'll see what happens as we go into Thursday. If we go into Thursday of next week after all this rainfall just impact us here. But I think that, as we go more and more into the week, I don't know. Will it really change anything up? We'll see. In terms of the forecast for this week and just in terms of rainfall in general, we're going to go throughout the next 7 days or so. And for the most part, like I said, this includes, going into next week Sunday. So, this includes the weekend rainfall as well that we could potentially see on Saturday, some on Friday as well. And it shows for the most part, I see like a half an inch or so, 1/10 of an inch here in Charleston, half an inch in Myrtle Beach, Florence, Columbia, up there inside of the upstate, around a half an inch, and kind of maxing out at around like an inch or so. But that's about it. That's all I can see in terms of rainfall. Now, if we go on and look at our next area, that being obviously our forecasted temperatures for the week. Let me see if I can go on and find that real quick. Move on over there. Move on over here. And so we're going to start off on, real quick, just Wednesday. And then we're going to talk with the audience. We're about to get with the audience in just a second. Finish this last part right here up. But right here, on Wednesday, you see 60s, you see a good amount of 70s. You definitely do see a good amount of 70s here. That goes all the way throughout from like the low country areas, throughout the PD, the Grand Strand areas, the Midland areas as well. Upstate, getting into the 60s or so on Wednesday. And then if you move on all the way to Thursday, you can see more of the upper 70s starting to make its way across. You start to see some more mid 70s in the upstate, still seeing some high 60s near the coastal areas. And then as you go into Friday probably being the warmest day, showing not everybody, but mostly the inland areas being inside of like that 75 to 79 ish area. The coastal areas being more 70 to 75 ish or so. So definitely going to be nice as we go into like the end part of this week. Saturday, like I said, things will start to calm down a little bit, especially as we go into Sunday. And low temperatures as well are also going to be pretty high. I mean, here's our low temperatures for Thursday night. Some areas might not even drop below 60 going into Thursday night. Going into Friday night, same thing. Some people may not even drop below 60 going into Friday night. So this, if you are a warm weather fan, this is exactly what you want to see right here. And so that, with all of that out of the way, let's go on right now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. And actually, I'm going to start a poll before we go on and do that. I'm going to say, are you excited for the warm air, the warm weather at the end of the week? That's what we're going to do. We're going to say yes, no, and then I don't care. So that's the poll right now going inside the chat right now. So we'll see what people have to say there. So starting off, Mr. Chris was here first tonight. He says, good evening. Everyone, I hope you all had a great day. Well, I did. Thank you so much for asking. Maya Lou also says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Mr. Chris says, was 65 degrees here today in terms of the high temperatures. Well, let's go on and check out mine real quick and see what I got here at my house. High temperatures today got to around 70, like right on the dot, 70 on the dot. So definitely got a little bit warmer than I think it was, than I think I predicted last night. Believe it was a little bit warmer than what I thought. Milo says today in Georgetown it rained all day. Didn't rain all day for us down here. Rained, some in the morning time, during the morning time. Maybe a little bit during like the early afternoon. It didn't really rain that hard until it got into around like the late afternoon, early evening time frame. My Nana says, hi Jay, hello to you. Miss Chris says rain pretty much all day. Then Thad says, good evening, Joseph and the 360 weather family. Good evening to you. Maya Lewis says our high in Georgetown today was 64. Thank you so much for the weather update. My Nana says a rainy day, but nice. Mr. Chris also says currently it's 56 degrees here and light rain. Currently at my house, it is around a good 59, so a bit warmer than where you are. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Thad says it was a very beautiful day here in San Antonio. It was 74 degrees and it felt amazing. Mr. Chris also says, please remember to go hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. It's free and it helps the channel. Absolutely. Right now we have around a good... Oh, no. Okay. Right now we have around a good... I might have to check on my phone. I can't stand when YouTube does this sometimes. It completely just crashes my browser, so I'm going to have to do it on another one. Let me go back over here. Oh, is it back? It's back. Okay, so we don't have to do that. Great. But right now we have around a good... Don't turn that on. 23 people have tuned in, only 11 likes. So if you're a part of that group of 12 that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free, and you can change your mind at any time. Continue our way down. Let me go down a little bit more. Okay, here we go. Milo says currently in Georgetown it's 60 degrees. Thad says, I hope everyone is warm and safe. This weather you guys are experiencing is very disrespectful and unwanted. Well, absolutely. But, well, kind of. We don't want the severe weather and the flooding, but the rainfall definitely is good. Rainfall definitely is good. So I am kind of happy about the rainfall. But other than that, severe weather, excessive rainfall, that's not nice at all. Milo says, that's great. I spent my rainy day in 2 different church services. That says our current temperature is 62 and some clouds, but beautiful all at the same time. We all need the rain. That was some well-needed rain in Georgetown. Mr. Michael says, good Sunday evening, everyone. Hopefully everyone has a good night and a great rest of the week. Well, thank you so much for that. And then Mr. Chris says, good news. Got to watch the whole race today from Daytona before the rain started there. Well, that's good to hear. I guess that's why you were asking me about it for this weekend. I actually did see something about that yesterday. I was scrolling, and I actually did see something about that. The race is going on. Then Maya Lewis says, I'm glad to know that by Tuesday it will be the beginning of good weather. Honestly, I mean, it could be good as early as tomorrow, but I mean, really just, temperatures will be a little bit cooler, but, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's when you will start to see those warmer conditions start to get around. Snow, please no snow. Well, that's still like 180 hours out, so we'll see what happens there. And for the most part, that's about it inside the chat for me. We're having seesaw weather. And that's all I can see here. So, let's go on now. Now that the chat's done with, we'll come back to the chat and we'll also look at the poll as we go into the last couple of minutes of the stream. But first, I want to go on and talk about the 4 locations outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 locations? What am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. And because they tune in almost nightly, we go ahead and give them their weather forecast for them. So we're going to start off with San Antonio first. San Antonio, you have low temperatures tonight at 50, high temperatures tomorrow at 79, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 55. Yes, 55. So it looks like for the most part that you have no precipitation. None of that's expected, so you won't have to really watch out for anything there. And in terms of severe weather and excessive rainfall, same thing, nothing really expected there either. And what about your future? Well, for the most part, it looks like that you are going to continue to warm up. 84 on Tuesday, 83 on Wednesday, 85 on Thursday. So you'll continue to warm up as you go into, especially like the later parts of the week. Same thing like South Carolina. But you will cool down as you go into next weekend, though. Down to like the 60s as your high on Sunday. So you will cool down a little bit. Then for Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperatures tonight at 44, high temperatures tomorrow at around 55, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 36. Excuse me, that's supposed to be at 36 there. Rain is expected tonight. You probably kind of like receiving your last bits of rain. If you're not, well, you're going to receive your little last bits of rain a little bit later. And like I said, patchy fog is also possible tomorrow night, so make sure that you're paying attention for that going into Tuesday morning. In terms of your severe weather, excessive rainfall not expected at this time. For your future, looks like you will be warming up. Friday 76, Thursday 73, 69 on Wednesday. So you will warm up, but you will cool back down as you go into the weekend. In fact, it may even be a little bit of a rainy weekend for you as well. Then for Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, you have low temperatures tonight at 33, high temperatures tomorrow at around 41, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 32. Rain/snow mix tonight. Patchy fog will also be a bit of an issue. So not only will you have rain and snow going on, but patchy fog as well. So those visibilities with slick roads, I mean, that's going to cause potentially just a huge issue, huge problem. So just don't, if you don't have to go out driving tonight, obviously don't. And then tomorrow as well, chance of rain/snow again, and also same thing, patchy fog going into the morning time. No severe weather, no excessive rainfall. For your future, though, looks like that you will be pretty stagnant. For the most part, you'll be in the 40s for your highs, 30s for your lows. So you'll stay stagnant pretty much throughout the rest of the week. And then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, low temperatures tonight around 42, high temperatures tomorrow at around 74, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 54. Precipitation not expected at this time. Severe weather not expected. Excessive rainfall not expected, but fire weather is an issue. Thursday, February the 19th. You have a 40 to a 69% chance of receiving critical conditions. So make sure that you're paying attention for that, because that will be something that definitely needs to be watched. So just make sure that you're paying attention for it as you go into Thursday. Fire weather conditions on Thursday, potentially. Then for your future, it looks like for the most part that you're going to be in the 80s. Tuesday 80, 75 on Wednesday, 75 on Thursday. And you will cool down as you go into the weekend, 62 on Saturday, etc. But that's all I have to say really in terms of the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. So let's go on now and see what's going on throughout the entire U.S. That includes South Carolina and the 4 locations and just everything everything inside the U.S. Let's cover it in terms of weather news. Well, right now, gusty to high winds and low relative humidity will bring elevated to critical fire weather conditions to the central and the southern plains into Wednesday. 2 Pacific storms will also impact the western U.S. into Wednesday with gusty winds, low elevation rainfall, and heavy mountain snow. So that all of that will be a potential issue. Now, there will also be some widespread dense fog that goes all the way from western Pennsylvania through Ohio, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, Missouri, and Kentucky. So, you know anybody in those areas, or you know anybody driving through those areas, make sure that they know dense fog will be occurring not only through there, but also through, um, actually, no, that's the air quality alert, never mind. But for the most part, that's what we're looking at there. High winds will also be a bit of an issue as well, with those elevated fire risk as well through parts of Oklahoma, parts of Texas, Colorado, Kansas. High winds will be a bit of a concern. And then some winter storm watches are up for northern North Dakota, northern Minnesota as well. And then for the most part, I think that is about it. That's about it. That's about all I have to say here. So for the poll, seems like everybody is excited for the warm weather at the end of the week. So I am happy to see that. Nobody here really wants any more cooler weather. And that's it. I don't see anything else inside the chat for me. Let me go ahead and check out my email real quick. Don't see anything here, so we're done there. Don't see any questions, anything else inside the chat. So top fans of the night for tonight. Top fans, it's still between Mr. Chris and my Aunt Lula. Both of them kind of going like back and forth still. But if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Chris is still at number 1 for tonight. Still at number 1 for tonight, so congratulations to you for being number 1. My Aunt Lula at number 2, and then also as well that at number 3. So congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans of the night for tonight. Let's go and give them a round of applause for that. If you want to be a part of the top fans, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Also, you have to be a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, you can't type, and you won't be a top fan. And also, you also have to be here early and be active inside the chat. All of that goes into it. And so now that is all out the way, let's go on and end this off for tonight. Make sure if you have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. Right now, we have around a good 26 people that have tuned in and only 11 likes. If you are a part of that group of 15 that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. Also, make sure you go on and hit the share button. Share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, people that you don't even talk to like that, because it helps us out. Also, go on and hit the subscribe button. Trying to get to 800 subscribers, 706, 94 away. That's all I have to say for tonight. Make sure you hit those 2 buttons before you leave if you're new. And I will be back tomorrow morning for your Monday morning forecast update, and tomorrow evening for your Monday evening forecast update, and your President's Day forecast. Hopefully everyone had a fantastic weekend, or 3-day weekend.